Greg, next time we promise to have a little more exhilarating backdrop here. You have to excuse us. First webcast, we're gonna do it inside, not at the Bridgeford Stadium, but that's understandable, I guess.
Yeah, I mean the wall's fine. I mean it's a nice white wall.
It's very neutral. Hey, we're going to talk about the JMU season opener down at ECU, which is this Saturday at 6 p.m. on ESPN3. Of course, you can follow Greg on Twitter at MADIA_DNR Sports.
Yeah, I'll keep the live tweeting going.
Yeah.
I'll make sure you get your updates.
But let's talk really briefly about this game. Greg, JMU goes into this game against an FBS opponent as a favorite. How do they feel about that?
Yeah, I think, you look at the matchup and you think traditionally FBS versus FCS, whether it's a group of 5 opponent like East Carolina or, a Power 5 team like they played North Carolina last year, and you think, that team with 85 scholarships is going to be the favorite. Turns out East Carolina didn't open as the favorite. I think JMU has been favored as much as by 5.5 points. I think it once was the highest. It was down to 3, and I think maybe it's down even a little closer to even at this point. But just the fact that an FCS team could be the favorite is kind of mind-boggling to think of the differences in resources, and that's kind of how JMU is feeling at this point. They're okay with being the favorite, but Mike Houston said a couple of times this week, you can tell the difference in resources. Like East Carolina's 85 scholarships is, that's a whole extra layer to a depth chart, whereas, JMU is going to be down. Like he mentioned, I think, that I thought was interesting was, East Carolina's got 14 defensive linemen.
He doesn't even have 14 on his roster.
Right. He doesn't have the 14 on his team. So that's a huge difference, and I think there are certain areas where that could be a factor in the game. So I think the depth issue, that's maybe where I probably have the most problem with JMU being a favorite in this game, because you just, as much as talented as JMU is, they're not going to have the 85. It's simple as that.
So I mean, to dumb it down, I mean, this is a game that's going to be won or lost in the third and fourth quarter.
Right.
When that depth really comes into play late in the game.
Right. It's something JMU's going to have to be conscious of. Whether that means because they have areas where maybe depth is a little stronger, like at running back and like at linebacker, do you maybe spread the carries out a little bit? Give Marcus Marshall, 10 carries, and Carden Johnson 8, and Trey Sharp 7. Do you try to balance it out to keep those guys fresh throughout the game? And I think it's something JMU certainly has to be aware of.
You mentioned Marcus Marshall, the transfer running back from Georgia Tech, was the Yellow Jackets' leading rusher for his 2 years down there.
Each of the past 2 years.
His pops is a James Madison Hall of Famer at the same position. The hype surrounding this, I mean, with that deep running back core, I mean, what are we going to see? Number one, are we going to see him Saturday? Number two, if we see him, what are we going to see?
Yeah, you're definitely going to see him Saturday. I don't know if he's going to start. He and Carden Johnson, it's kind of been like, either one of those guys are going to start. And it wouldn't totally surprise me to see Mike Houston give the start to Carden Johnson, just considering he's coming off the Achilles injury. And it's kind of a nice thing for a fifth-year senior to get that start. But Marshall's going to play. He's going to get his fair share of touches. Expect kind of a speed and explosive type deal with Marcus Marshall. They brought him in because he kind of had that extra layer, that extra burst that maybe some of their guys didn't have. When he gets out in the open field, he can straight up go. He's a burner that type of way. So I think you look at Marcus Marshall as that speed back that can break the big one for JMU.
Matchup-wise, how do they match up with this ECU team?
Yeah, I think talent-wise, it's pretty comparable. When you look at the level of talent, the only difference is the depth, like we talked about already. But the overall level of talent is similar. JMU has its fair share of transfers. East Carolina has its fair share of transfers. We talked about Marshall. There's also David Eldridge for the Virginia receiver that's come over to JMU, and the Virginia linebacker as well, Landon Word, and Gus Little, a Maryland linebacker. ECU has a couple of transfers. Thomas Sirk, their backup quarterback, was a Duke transfer. And then you look at a couple other guys. Defensively, a starter, safety, Tim Irvin from Auburn. I talked to him a little bit today, and he had told me that he's kind of excited to start his his East Carolina career after a good freshman season over at Auburn. So I think, you look at the talent level, it's pretty comparable.
What matchup should we keep an eye on?
I think for me, and this is one of those areas where depth could play a part, it's the cornerbacks of James Madison versus the receivers of East Carolina. East Carolina is going to be deep at that position. They have three really, really tremendous players, and they're going to want to snap the ball as much as they can. I don't know if weather's going to play a part. I was looking at the forecast. Maybe weather plays a part, and it helps JMU that way. But, you look at those receivers, and East Carolina's going to want to spread the ball out to those guys. And JMU, of course, they lost Charles Tutt to the ACL injury for the year, so they were supposed to go into this game with 4 experienced corners that they could run out there, down to 3, which is a little bit different for the Dukes, who last year when they played kind of a pass-happy team in Sam Houston State, they would run as many as 5 corners out on the field. So they're going to be forced to play some freshmen alongside, the veterans, Rashad Robinson, Curtis Oliver, and Jimmy Moreland. They'll play Wesley McCormick, a true freshman from Germantown, Maryland, and Taurus Carroll, another freshman. So you'll see those guys out there on day one. Good luck.
15 seconds. What injury or one of the players suspended most impacts JMU in this matchup?
I think the Tutt injury is certainly one, but then of course you got to look at the tight end spot. And Jonathan Kloosterman, he had a team best 7 touchdowns last year.
And it was a red zone machine.
Right, yeah. Brian Short's favorite target in a red zone. JMU will play a sophomore, Nick Carlton, and a freshman, Clayton Cheatham. Those 2 guys will see their first significant college action. Carlton played a little bit last year, but they'll see their first real action, this Saturday.
Well, Greg, he'll be down there, so follow him on Twitter. And a quick note to everybody down in Texas, I know you got a few JMU fans from Texas. Follow both you and the DNR Sports account. We hope you all are safe and quick recovery down there.